Okay, guys, I think we've got quite a few people on the webinar now. So I believe we're now live. So let's kind of kick things off and get straight into things. I think we've got a lot to cover in today's session. So let's get straight into it. First of all, a massive, massive welcome to everyone joining us online today. And thanks so much for taking part in this session. I hope this webinar is super, super informative and you can get some key takeaways from today's session, which will all be focused on navigating the challenges of hiring enterprise architects. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jake, and I will be your host for today's session. Starting with a short introduction about myself, I'm currently based out of London, and I have over a decade of experience within the recruitment industry, exclusively focused within the German market for the entirety of my career. My expertise is in identifying and attracting top-tier talent within the technology and strategy space, especially within the architecture domains, including such roles like technical or software architects in Java or solution architects in SAP, for example, but predominantly specialized in enterprise architecture recruiting, because this is my biggest interest and I have a real passion in this area. Throughout my career, I've successfully collaborated with a wide range of clients, from startups in the heart of Berlin to major DAX conglomerates such as Fresenius in Bad Homburg or Schott in Mainz or Panasonic, Continental, and several other consultancies like Capgemini or Deloitte. At the moment, I'm currently working at the Rec Hub. Essentially, we are a talent solutions provider who uses advanced technology and expertise in HR to help organizations find and attract top talent efficiently. Our focus is on supporting businesses in scaling their teams, but also placing them difficult to hire roles. So the topics we're going to cover today, guys, will be how to attract young talents into an EA discipline and what skills and qualities do you look for when hiring EAs for your organization. Now to the most important introductions of them all. I would like to hand over to my amazing guests. Let's start with the wonderful Selmin. Would you like to introduce yourselves first, madam?
Yeah, thank you, Jake. Thanks for this opportunity. My name is Selmin Danıs Oncül. I am currently working for E.ON Digital Technologies as the functional lead for corporate domain in enterprise architecture discipline. I am based in Essen. I relocated to Germany 1.5 years ago. And before that, I lived in Istanbul more than 20 years and worked in many different areas of IT, like ERP consulting, enterprise architecture discipline, in mostly large holding companies or technology companies that are supporting holdings. And my initial expertise area is supply chain, and formerly I also gave some lectures in universities, MBA and MIS classes as a part-time lecturer in ERP and data-related lectures. And thank you for this opportunity again. To Joachim.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Selmin. My name is Joachim Schmider. Since August, partner at Ernst & Young Consulting, partner in technology, strategy, and transformation. In the last 6.5 years, responsible for setting up the enterprise architecture or architecture discipline at Schaeffler as a head of enterprise architecture, and make it also a more strategic tactical discipline to shape and execute business transformations. And we did there from the ground up, build up a federated architecture discipline, but also enable, train other architect roles like business architects, data solution architects, because we have to facilitate on the bigger picture as a whole team. So after 6.5 years, I moved out from Schaeffler using that kind of unique experience, also bring it to other clients. And I see enterprise architect as a really super valuable capability in a transformation journey, which we can now take place at different customer engagements where we need to have this capability to shape it. Back to you, Jake.
Amazing. So it's a real pleasure to have you both on here. And thanks for the introductions. I think you have a very good name on the market and definitely are massive mascots in Germany for enterprise architecture. So it's a real honor having you on here. Maybe let's kick things off with the webinar Q&A. So maybe starting with yourself, Selmin. We're going to cover the topics of how to attract young talents into an EA discipline, right? So the floor is yours, Selmin.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, it is not easy to attract talents in EA discipline because EA discipline is less known compared to other disciplines in especially IT. But we will do our best by making some introduction events in universities and career days, info session within the company even for the young talents. And also we need to attract the talents in the market because there is a need for our profession. And generally, enterprise architecture is a career that after some years in the industry, people can aware of. So it is important to make the discipline well known, especially for the young talents, the high school students or the universities. In the past, I'm involved in a metaverse event that very well explains the young talents in a joyful way what enterprise architecture is, and you can clearly see that how they are close or not close to this discipline. But once they know more about it, then it is really a good journey for them to deep dive. And in the past, I also hire young talents in my team and raise them in my enterprise architecture department. So increase awareness very shortly, and also sharing the information about this discipline is really important because there is a need for that. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any kind of like training or certification programs that, people who want to get into this EA field can move into?
Yeah. For the people who want to deep dive in discipline, I can advise the certification like TOGAF certification, which is a kind of base, one of the base and main certifications for this discipline. But not only the certifications purely related with enterprise architecture, like also maybe the tool certifications about the enterprise architecture tools like Hopex or Linux or other tools. Also,
Archimate and stuff like this, right?
Yeah, and they can also get certification about the disciplines we are managing, like for technology architecture, for example, the cloud certifications, for application architecture, the off-the-shelf product certifications that are well known and used in different industries will be helpful also to understand how the software developers are working, for example, and how the products are developed. These kinds of trainings are also will be very valuable for them because enterprise architecture is an overarching discipline. So you need to have a basic understanding from each part a little bit. Yeah. So either from a technology part to up to the upper levels, you need to have a basic understanding for each and every piece. So it is good to have basic trainings for different disciplinary parts of the enterprise architecture discipline. And coming to the soft skill part, of course, crisis management, leadership, conflict management, strategy trainings, there will be very helpful for them while they are executing their job. So also soft skill trainings are really important for them.
Yeah, I can imagine. And like, just following for what you said then, so like, what advice would you give students and graduates who are kind of interested in like pursuing a career in the EA space? Like, what would you say are like the kind of good and the bad, right?
Mm-hmm. This is my personal view, but you can directly deep dive AI discipline. This is the harder way, or you can move to AI discipline, spending some few years in either any of the disciplines in IT and technology, which may be easier to adapt. So you need to know a little bit about the business processes, different layers of the IT and technology, starting from infra level to the upper level, networking, application management. So it is crucial to have some basic info so they can start with small trainees in each and every discipline, and then move to.
Does it matter what area, Selmin? Does it matter if it's like software or SAP or infrastructure, or can they come from kind of like anywhere area of IT?
Anywhere, any of them will be useful, even the business. They can even work in business for some years or months
Yeah.
and decided to move to AI, because AI discipline, in order to be a good enterprise architect, in the end, you need to spend some time with all these disciplines and also in different departments of an organization to have a better understanding. I explain is like similar to the medical doctors. Yeah, you need to be a expert in each and different discipline, like surgery, like child doctor, like urology, for example. You need to understand a little bit each of them. So being just a doctor is not enough. So you need to deep dive. So it is very much like that enterprise architects have a basic understanding for all different parts of this area. So it's a journey, especially for young talents, but it is joyful and you will never be late to be an enterprise architect. I moved to enterprise architect discipline after 19 years of experience in
Wow.
ERP consulting. And now I'm very happy that I moved for 5 years ago to AI. So you can be an enterprise architect whenever you want. You don't need to be just a recent graduate. You can decide to be an enterprise architect after 10 years, 15 years, and that's also fine, because what experience you have in any of these disciplines will be very well appreciated and will support you in your journey in enterprise architecture. Yeah.
Perfect. I think you're right. I see a lot of, I see predominantly people moving into EA who hold IT positions before. Normally like solution architecture sort of driven roles or software, but there are also a lot of candidates out there who come from more of a strategic function, maybe in a small consultancy or a business analyst who move into this role. But I think the one thing that I've noticed from working in the EA field is definitely very complex. A lot of challenges, a lot of politics as well, and a lot of firefighting, right? So I think definitely a challenging role. But thank you for that, Selmin. Some really good advice in there. Moving on to yourself, Joachim. So what you're going to cover today is what skills and qualities do you look for when hiring EAs for your organization?
Yeah. Coming back to Selmin, there's no ideal path for enterprise architects, yeah, because you have to combine different levels, business data, IT expertise, and basically it's also a journey to become a senior enterprise architect, combining all the experience you did. So it's good to be on a business role, in a data role, in an IT role, also doing some complex projects, because then you know what you're talking about by experience. And this is also a thing I'm looking for at talents. Do they have a straight path, or even also looked right and left and have some experience, even failed at some point in time? And also a critical question I'm asking, what was the biggest fail and what have you learned about it? Because the curiosity of people stepping into fields they have not the experience yet, but combine it with different ones. That's a thing which I'm looking for, because then you can develop the talents also to areas which they're not covered yet. So curiosity, a good mentality, also fast thinking, good communication, good visualization skills. I'm also looking, not because I'm now in consulting, but also in the previous role at Scheffler. Enterprise architects are more tactical consultants, yeah, right in between the strategy and operational, and they have to communicate with such different stakeholders. So also the architecture could be complex. So aggregate it, simplify it, stakeholder relevant communications on the level of acceptance. That's very, very key, Because the one thing is that the enterprise enterprise architect understands the context, but he has to sell it. So communication, visualization, storytelling, whatever. So this kind of capabilities and an openness to develop in such an area, I'm looking for.
Yes, it sounds like 10 roles rolled into one. So sounds like a stressful career, Joachim.
No, you're combining really good strength and using also design thinking for designing a strategy, and then really breaking it down to architecture, and not only tell the why, but also the how. The architecture is the how. And if you collaborate in the target architecture in these dimensions with different stakeholders, it's a wow effect. But you need to have this kind of personalization, communication, storytelling.
Connect everyone together, right?
It makes fun. Yeah. So it's not this one directional. Enterprise architecture is not an IT discipline. There's enterprise IT architecture, but enterprise architecture is, you cover basically the enterprise.
Yeah. I think this is mistaken, Joachim, right, on the market. I think a lot of people see this as an IT discipline, see this maybe as a cost. And I think this is maybe the thing which is not so good on the market right now.
Yeah, well, we have also to work against bias of enterprise architecture. And I was chair of a CBA lab, which was an organization in Germany with 25 top companies in their enterprise architects. And yes, I mean, you have to start somewhere in the enterprise architect discipline, usually also in the IT space, but it's not limited to it. And you have also the opportunity to develop it in a more federated, more comprehensive way. And it's just a matter of doing it and getting the acceptance and the mandate and the awareness of it. So it's doable. We did it also at Scheffler, but we had a different setup. So it was easier. We have been outside of IT. And so, again, more freedom to have it. But the talents, back to your question, the curiosity and open mindset, and also eager to develop in this complexity. This is what I'm looking. I'm happy to develop talents, but they have to be also open to do that.
Curious, yeah, agreed. And I hear this a lot on the market. You know, I think in my experience anyway, the strongest enterprise architects that I've worked with, they have these battle wounds in IT. You know, they've been on these projects which haven't gone to plan. So I think this is where you learn the most, right? So I think definitely can agree with you here. And maybe just on that point again, Joachim, so like what key skills and capabilities do modern enterprise architects need to be successful, maybe from, you know, in the past?
In the past, also coming from the bias of enterprise architecture with a lot of method, academic, TOGAF, whatever. It's a good foundation, don't get me wrong. But this is also tools and structure you need to adopt. And a target architecture gets always iterated. There's no stick plan to execute the next 5 years. That's not the point. We have a super tremendous changing world around us in technology, in business, in economics, whatever. You have to adopt, but also be fast. You don't have the time to develop a plan. Be fast, try things out, and adopt it over time. So agile thinking and acting is very important, but also focus on the crucial points and show the business value out of it. It's not done when we have a perfect documentation nobody wants to read and use. So be relevant for business problems and make it traceable. What kind of things have you been working on and achieved for better business? So that's a bit of a thing I'm looking for, and for the skills. Yeah, also modern consulting skills. So adapt technology with business strategy and consulting skills. And also the soft skills are very important. Communication, different stakeholders, conflict management, change, storytelling. That's basically the package of good consultants. And an enterprise architect is a man in the middle, a translator, a bridge builder. So we need to equip those talents with these kind of skills. Either they bring it with them or we have to develop it into the space. And then they can be super, super successful. What
skill is easier to develop, Joachim?
Technical or soft skills? Or
Yeah.
Well, it's different. I guess technical ones are easier because they're more straight through. I mean, how to configure an SAP, how to integrate, how to develop, make it a DevOps are more classical. And these kind of skills will be also trained in a more regular fashion, either on university or directly in software software certification things. Soft skills, you have to do it in addition. And working, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a people business. You're working with people to get things done and change things. And so it's an either or. It's no better or easier. You have to do it both. Just a matter of sequence. And also there, I don't mind.
It's true. Because you can come up with the best strategy in the world, the best roadmap, but if you can't convince people to buy into it or you cannot execute it, then what is the point, right? So I can definitely understand there. What about on that point, Joachim, like how do you assess, like when you're interviewing candidates, whether that be at Schaeffler or at EY, how do you assess candidates in an interview process, their soft skills or their technical skills? Like, do you make them do any certain tests or challenges, or is it just kind of like a feel for the candidate?
I like to have it sequentially. Usually you have multiple calls with the talents. First of all, to sort things out, whether the talent has the potential for that space, or even align it with other architecture roles. So it's not, maybe a solution architecture role is fitting better at the moment. So first of all, I want to have an overview about the talent, about the skills, about the experience, but also the objectives and the reason why he or she applies to a job, and then sort things out whether it's an EA or not. When it comes to detailed, I want to meet them in person, also in front of a whiteboard, and then really also make a short a case study. How would you approach? What is an architecture? Just show me a deliverable. And how do you want to? What is your approach in order to design this kind of things? This is a kind of a conflict. How do you deal with it? And you see directly also in the interaction how the talent is reacting, whether he or she is structured, good communication, how to deal with stress and pressure. Also, when you're more forcing things and be a bit less polite for a second, and then you see the reaction, body language, etc. Because this kind, I want to simulate the things which they are approaching afterwards when they're joining my team, and so I want to prepare them. And this is a kind of a rehearsal, whether they are prepared or also identify which kind of parts are missing.
Cool, that makes total sense. And I know there's many challenges to hiring enterprise architects, but what would you say are like the main ones or the top challenges that you have gone through yourself, Joachim?
One of the biggest challenge is to work on the bias, but also give the talents also an opportunity. Okay, this is the purpose of an enterprise architect in my area. This is the mandate. This is the possibilities. This is your responsibility to do things. But this is also the how we want to do it. It's not that the enterprise architect sits there and approves every architecture decision. It's more about collaborating. It's more really embrace people, convince people to do the right thing, work in a team. And this is a thing, when set right, the role is attractive, but you have to work on the bias that is not the responsible person, because you have to convince people, you have to work with people. It's more collaboratively. And when done, and the purpose and the mandate is right, then it's really, really good. At Schaeffler, I had a lot of question about, are you in IT? So that was a negative thing. Yeah, I said, no, I'm not, because we are enterprise architects, so we are outside of IT because we're looking on a different angle to it. And that was very attractive. And interestingly, that also made my mind, why is outside of IT better or more attractive than into IT? So there's a lack in setting up the discipline, which have to be better. And then it's not that predominant question.
Yeah, very interesting, because I think a lot of people that I've spoke to in many businesses, most of the EA is in the IT, very closely to the demand managers. Sometimes it works very well, sometimes it doesn't. But I think the thing with yourself, Joachim, especially when you're at Schaeffler, a lot of people wanted to work for the business, mainly for this reason. This was the strongest reason everyone was telling me, So I think a lot of EAs I speak to, the biggest challenge they have is the politics, is having budget issues, is firefighting. And I think having that underneath the CEO or maybe in the business, it doesn't alleviate all of them challenges. I'm sure you still have many of them, but it makes things a lot easier, right? So I definitely agree with you here.
Yeah, well, it's a discussion about the mandate and the role and how far in the idea generation process you are involved to. You can be in each organization of choice. When you are integrated in the very beginning in shaping the transformation ideas, the structure, etc., it doesn't matter where you are placed, because then you can work as an enterprise architect. If you're just very late in a demand prior to an approval, your flexibility or your freedom to change things, to shape things in the better world is very limited, because you are 2 days before approval. So what kind of things can you influence?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And that's also a bit of, nevertheless, which organization you're part of. If you are making the operating model more proactive, more target architecture oriented, and in very early stage to design a target architecture and derive the demands from it, it's independent of the organization you are heading in. So
depends. Cool. And maybe a question for both of you. How do you see your personal careers evolving in the field of EA, say, in the next 5 years from now? Like in terms of what sort of changes in technologies or processes or the way you work? I'm sure there's going to be many different things. What would you say are the core ones?
I can say that I totally agree with Joachim mentioned that I want to be more in the, let's say, business architecture part. And instead of being a kind of gatekeeper or just at the very last point checking the technical appropriateness of the solutions, every architect, most of the enterprise architects want to be in the strategic initiatives from the beginning, and even drive these strategic initiatives, because we have enough experience in digital transformation. We know the business processes, we know the technologies very well, we know the big picture. So why the companies don't benefit from this skill set? So that's a waste if you are using your architecture team just at the end of a demand process, as you mentioned, just to check some procedures and everything. Such a gatekeeper. You need to be in the very beginning in the process, collaborate with top management and involved in strategic initiatives, even drive them, so that really the company or the holding can benefit from your skill set. By nature, as an enterprise architect, I'm always curious to learn new things ahead of the industry. I mean, what are the recent technology developments? So I want to continue to move in this direction and be like a consultant that people demand for. Not they communicate with us that they are obliged to do so because of the governance rules. So you need to be a consulting mindset, and people need to, at least they want to have get the AI service from you. Yeah, that should be the future of the AI for the next 5 years for all of the companies, I assume.
Perfect. Cool. I hope it heads this way as well. So fingers crossed. What about yourself, Joachim?
Yeah, maybe to add a few things. I see tremendous change coming into the market, to the companies. Whether this is technology driven, the wave of AI hitting us is tremendous over the next 5 years. And honestly, when you just think a bit longer than tomorrow, what does it mean for companies? Data centric, AI driven companies. What kind of foundation do you have to establish to use that for business success? Also about manufacturing, software-defined everything. You're simulating everything from product development to manufacturing, dark factory, whatever, automate things. There's a lot of things happening to stay competitive, and organizations need to really transform themselves heavily, rethink concepts from the last 30 years, also with new technology possibilities. So this is a perfect spot for EAs, because the complexity is exponential. And you need really talents to structure the complexity that you can, or that you are even able to start transforming. Else you make a lot of projects, they're going nowhere. So we need this kind of logical structure capability in the middle, but in a collaborative manner. It's not only one person with all the skills. Thanks for the question. It's a collaboration. So it's a huge spot, but we have to get out of the IT box, thinking in more broader thing. broader architecture thinking, and make it more visible and more really tangible for the business and the value for it. Then it's really a spot to be, honestly.
Perfect. I think this has been really great, guys. I'm sure we could discuss for hours about these topics. And it's really interesting for me, especially being a recruiter specializing in this space. Getting the knowledge from you guys is perfect, So thank you very much for that. I think let's leave some time for some audience questions. I think we have a couple already in the chat. Feel free to answer any of you guys, whoever feels free. So we have, what are the most critical factors and KPIs for building and maintaining a successful enterprise architecture team?
Maybe I'll answer. Critical factors for a successful enterprise architecture is a really well understood mandate and role, and what kind of responsible you have. You have to really communicate the why, how, what an architecture discipline is in a company. So that's a groundwork. And the most critical KPIs is business impact. Can you show the business impact with your work? Because then you get an acceptance. And that's all it matters. Whether you are shrinking your application landscape by 10%, you have to translate it in business value.
So. Perfect.
Selmin.
I can add something to this. Sometimes people are complaining that teams are small, there is not enough people to deliver the things. So I think it is important from the very beginning to align about these KPIs and the outputs with the upper management, so that you can utilize your resources according to these priorities, and not to deep dive each and every bits and pieces, but really the important strategic topics. So even with a smaller team, you can have best outcomes that can add value to the business and the company, knowing that what are the critical factors for the success of that organization. And you can deliver good KPIs as an organization with a core team. Sometimes
perfect.
This question is asked to me many times, and it is relevant with that question, so I want to mention that.
Perfect. And I think you've kind of already answered Hakan's question, which is pretty similar there as well. So thanks for that. We've got a lot of questions coming in. We've still got some time. So what languages do you generally look for in a candidate for enterprise architecture roles? Is fluency in English deemed sufficient? I think it depends on the organization, right? This one.
Maybe I can pick up this because I'm living in Germany and just can speak German A2 level in daily life. I love that job. So it depends on the organization, because if you are a global organization, your company is global and you are the global head of enterprise architect, then English is fine. But if the organization is local and you need to communicate with the business, of course, then maybe the local language, in Germany it's German, of course, it may be important. And also it depends on the role, because we define enterprise architect with many responsibilities, but of course we have a team, and in the team you have some focus areas. Each and every person has some focus areas, some of them more deep dive in the technology architecture level, some of them in business architecture level. Maybe if you are a cybersecurity enterprise architect, then there is a less requirement for the language. But if you're a business architect or application architect, then it may be more important. But for my last two organizations, one of them in Germany, one of them abroad, they are all multinational, and English is enough, but it may not be relevant for all the German companies. Joachim may have a better idea about that.
Well, English is a must, and honestly, I'm documenting everything in English as a basis, because I don't have why translating. But it's easier when you work on the architecture, and it's a German-based company with a lot of native population, that you speak also the native language of the stakeholders. It makes things easier, and but English is a must. And think about when you are working with German customers or in a German company, it's easier to speak the native language as well.
Perfect, perfect. I think we have a question here that maybe I could even answer. Can you share any tips and tricks for us as future candidates for EA jobs in your companies? Maybe sending your CV to me.
First of all, honestly, happy for the feedback and connect over LinkedIn and get started. I mean, that's always also my thing. Get into a conversation with interesting people and then find out whether this is matching or not. Be curious about, but also be patient and reach out to the people. Yeah. So everybody has 15 minutes to talk, and if it's somehow matching, you go into the next and the next step. So just start it.
Perfect. Selmin?
Yeah, I will be grateful to meet with people who want to jump in this AI discipline, especially the young talents, because we are not always expecting everyone to be ready as an IA. We are happy to support their development if they are curious, if they are happy to upskill their communication and leadership skills. We can train them with technical and soft skill trainings, and they can have a journey within our organization. So hiring in the last 1 year, 3 people in my organization, very hard. I'm very open to new candidates who are interested. Of course, we get many applications as a large company, but the right talent sets may not be every time easy to find. So I'm also supporting upskilling the young talents and try to attend all types of events, conferences that I can motivate people to jump in, either from scratch as a young graduate, or they may be in business or IT for the last 19 years like me, and they want to jump to this discipline. Happy to support also. I made it in 5 years, and everybody can make it after 40. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. And I think we've got last question here. So how can we quantify or sell the business impact that Joachim talked about? How do we storytell and win the hearts and minds of the board, Joachim?
Honestly, just talked with a colleague about it. Start with the hot potatoes, because there's relevance behind it. There's a timely momentum behind it. You can immediately show the value out of it. Yeah, take also leadership in order to structure it, take people together, whatever. Don't ask for being part of the solution. Yeah, trigger it, leadership, go for it. Because also architects should not wait until they have to do something. So look for the hot potatoes in a company with all the changes coming up, which I talked about. There's plenty of starting positions. Just do it. And really get connected with the relevant stakeholders and organize some workshops, really show, don't tell things. And it will flow from a push to a pull modus.
Perfect. And for those who don't know what that means, Joachim, what is hot potatoes?
Hot potatoes is the things nobody wants to touch. So the projects which are really bad and not working, or really a super hot topic on security in China, and everybody gets crazy about it. So search for the topics which really have relevance, and be fast. Also, that's a good thing. Don't make it too complex. Don't make it too long. Make it fast. Make it tangible. Make it outcome driven. And
be proactive.
80-20 is enough. Yeah, but just do it. And be focused on it. Yeah. If you do too much things at the same time, the momentum is gone.
100% agreed here. So I believe that brings us to the end of our time, unfortunately, for today. So thanks so much for everybody who's joined us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And a massive, massive, massive welcome to Joachim and to Selmin for taking some time out today to join this webinar. It's been super, super informative, and I really appreciate it, guys. So thanks for joining. Also, to everybody online who's maybe missed this webinar, we're going to release a recording over the next few days. So feel free to follow the Rec Hub or myself on LinkedIn, where we'll release this recording. And to watch out for the next webinar series, which we're planning to do at least every month or every couple of months, which will all be around this EA topic. So thanks a lot, guys. I wish you all the best, and I will see you next time.